Welcome to Living the Dream, the show for dance teachers and studio owners. We live for the breakthroughs, the laughter, the messy moments, and the magic. Because the dream is not always perfect, it's real. Let's talk dance, studio life, and the journey. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Living the Dream. We're glad that you are here with us. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. City, state, are you watching from another country? We love seeing our dance community show up. And if you're catching us a little later, welcome.
Yes, drop your location and also maybe ask a question for our guest, and we'll do our best to grab a few questions at the end of our session.
Awesome. Quick reminder, Living the Dream is also a podcast, and you can check that out and subscribe on Apple and Spotify, and you can watch on YouTube as well. If you don't want to miss an episode, subscribe today. Miss Susie is my co-host. Susie, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, my friend.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday morning. It is actually pretty sunny here today. I'm in Brampton, Ontario, Canada. I'm one of the owners with my two business partners of the studio. And we are living the dream.
You are living the dream. Tell me what it's like being one of three in charge, Miss Susie.
It definitely helps with the shared responsibility. That is the best part about it. My two business partners actually were just away last week, and studio ran just fine between me and our amazing staff. I won't say we didn't miss them, but business as usual. This weekend, we actually had a huge weekend at our studio. We did dress rehearsal for our showcase and got ready for our ballet show for the next couple weeks. And my business partners got to soak up some sun, and they'll be fresh to go tonight when they're back at the studio.
Suze, how long have you guys been partners in this studio?
30 years. Anne and Christy became partners a little sooner than I did. I waited till I was done university, and then I joined them.
Awesome. So what is your role of the three? Do you each have job descriptions? Yeah, tell us what you do.
We do. I do the majority of the finances. I do all the bookkeeping, and I'm the numbers nerd. I absolutely love it. I also do the scheduling for our mainstream program. That's what we call our recreational program, and our intensive program, which is our competitive. And I also run our intensive program. And then we all have our other things that we do, like the not so glamorous things like maintenance. I'm in charge of that. Fun stuff.
I love it. I was never a good partnership person, and I know there are other studio owners out there who might not be that kind of a person. But I've been working with you guys for, I don't know how long, maybe 7 years now.
Probably.
And you have this solid partnership that works. You're an example of, yes, it's possible, and yes, everybody can still love each other, because I at least it appears that you guys love each other, and I always think how cool that is.
Yep, we did grow up dancing together, so it is dance friends make the best friends.
Okay, so I think that's an interesting part of the story. First, I want to say I think it's Kalina from Florida and Melanie from Utah. Hello and welcome, you guys. Anyone else want to check in? Love to hear from you. So, your story, I think, is kind of interesting. Didn't you all grow up in this studio?
Yes,
so explain that part.
So our teacher, the studio was originally called Nancy's School of Dance, run by Nancy McColl, who is still really good friends of ours. Actually, that is who Christy and Ann were on vacation with this past week. We've just always been friends. And when Nancy decided that she needed to take more time to be with her family, she was the sole owner of it at the time. And she got married, had 2 boys, and needed to pass it on. But her big thing was that she would not pass it on to one person because it is a lot for one person to do. So originally there was 5 partners that came in, including Christine Ann. As I said, I was still in university, so I was not a part of that at first. I was teaching there, but I wasn't an owner. And when I graduated from university, I became a partner. Since then, the others have left the business, and it's just the 3 of us. And I can tell you 3 is a good number because if we have to put something to a vote, the decision is made because 2 people could say yes and 1 person can say no, but majority rules, and we accept that and move on.
I love that. I think your story is awesome, and you're still good friends. Did you say they were on vacation with the former studio owner?
Yes.
Who thought it was too much for one person to run?
Yep.
I love it. So do you teach acro?
I do.
Okay. Today's going to be a good talk. We have a special guest, Trish Thompson-Creamer, one of my favorite people. So before we get to her, I want to thank our sponsor, Jackrabbit Dance. They make life easier for dance studio owners worldwide, and we're grateful for their support of living the dream.
If you are a studio owner, having systems that help reduce stress are super important. So thank you, Jackrabbit Dance.
Let's roll this commercial and we'll be right back with Trish.
This episode is sponsored by Jackrabbit Dance, the dance studio software empowering you to build the studio of your dreams. With over 20 years of experience, Jackrabbit has the solutions and industry insights to help your business grow. Want to increase student enrollment, optimize your pricing to be profitable, or improve staff retention? See how other studios are using Jackrabbit Dance to hit their goals year after year. To learn more, visit jackrabbitdance.com/benchmarks.
Ooh, hello. Okay, we're back. We're excited to have Trish Thompson-Creamer. She's known as an acro expert, but she runs a studio that offers all dance experience. Today, we're going to dive deeper into not just how to teach the tricks. We're going to talk about education, influence, choreography, and what acro means inside the bigger picture of dance. Trish, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We're so happy you're here, Trish. Just so you know, our audience is live, so you might see some pop-ups coming up on the bottom of the screen, and we may get some questions. So there's lots of teachers and studio owners that are listening in.
Okay, I don't have glasses on, so I can't see a thing.
Okay.
No worries.
We'll take care of those comments. While we're on it, check in with us. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Okay, Trish, how did you enter the dance life? Like, how old were you? What was that first experience?
Oh my goodness. I personally didn't start dancing until I was 9 because I did gymnastics before. So I did gymnastics and I danced all the way up from up all the way through high school. And then I was teaching dance and I was coaching gymnastics and I was going to school and I was doing all that. And then when I went to school for law and security and my teachers went on strike. And so I was home for about 7 weeks. And my dad just said, "What are you going to do? You got to make a decision as to what do you want to do?" And I knew I didn't want to do anything with law and security. No offense to anyone, but it wasn't my thing, you know? I just could never become a police officer. I didn't want to work with juvenile delinquents. I knew I would never get a job working in a border um, uh, position because I'm not bilingual, right? So the options would be not very good there. So I had to make a decision. So my dad was like, this is what you've been doing all your life. Why don't you make a decision as to what do you want to do? And so I thought, well, I guess I put a lot of time into this. I guess I'll open up a dance studio.
Cool.
And here I am 34 years later. And I remember the day I said to my dad, I think this will be a 5-year plan. Let me just check it out. Let me see if this is what I want to do. And he said, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's try it. And the first day I had my registration, I remember my mom drove me. She was helping me work my office. And I remember I almost started to cry because I was like, what if I don't have any students? What if nobody registers at my studio? And I actually took a job at another studio in my area because I was thinking, oh, I'm not going to have enough kids to have a full schedule. And on my first day of registration, I had registered 100 kids. And then there we go. It just went from there. Yeah. So that's how I kind of got into it.
Wow.
Awesome. That's great. I think it's funny that you thought you were going to go into law enforcement. I actually married a police officer, so I guess it's
Did
something to do
you?
with. And Christy's daughter is a police officer, so there's got to be something to do with dance and police officers.
Well, you
It's
know what?
funny, I could
Even
see
the
you in the uniform, Trish.
Yeah.
Hey, Rebecca, I want to say hello to you, but for some reason, Trish, I could see you in that police uniform.
You think? I don't know. I think that when I started learning about it and, walking down a dark alley and I don't know, just things like that. I hate, I'm not I'm too much of a chicken to do any of that stuff. So yeah.
You
And
made a
then with
good
the,
choice.
what's that? I made a good choice. Well, you know what, even with the delinquents or the people, I don't know. I mean, you deal with people here, like we're constant counselors. That's what I wish I did at maybe like a night school program or something, maybe on counseling or therapy or something. But yeah, but that's here I am.
In making that decision, do you think that helped you fall in love with dance even more?
Oh, I was in love with it for sure. I was in love with it. I started when I was 9 because my gymnastic coach felt that I needed just a little bit more finesse, right? So that's why we started. And I had a friend that moved into the area and she danced, so I just, tagged along with her. But it was something that for me, I loved it as soon as I started it, and I just kind of like, I just kind of excelled with that. And then, yeah, I don't know. I was never the kid though that thought, oh, not to say it in a bad way, but I was not that kid that was 10 years old saying I want to own my own dance studio. I remember looking and watching my dance studio, even when I was like, when I worked there. And I used to think, this is crazy. This place, like, this is crazy. This is a lot of work. I used to look at my studio director and think, oh my gosh, I don't know how she does it. Right. And yet here we are,
Here
you
you
know.
are. You are
Yeah,
that person.
I am.
So tell me, I know you said you grew up, started in gymnastics. How did you transfer into the acro world? What inspired you? Because I know gymnastics, not everybody knows this. Gymnastics is very different than acrobatics. So was
Yeah.
there a moment you said, this is for me?
I think it was just something that I took the skills and the knowledge that I had, and I didn't know if I was doing it right. There wasn't any internet, there wasn't any guidance outside of your own mind, really. Um, Acro back in, like, I opened the studio in 1992. So even training when I danced, I mean, acro really wasn't a big thing in my community, in my area. I'm sure it was in other areas. But no, it was a lot of trial and error for me at first, and but I don't know, it came naturally to me, and it was just something that I loved watching the process from, taking the knowledge of being in a gym to taking the knowledge that I had from being in a studio and just trying to mesh the worlds together. Um, Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And even that's the case today, after all the years. And, sometimes, yeah, it doesn't work. And sometimes it does. That's all.
What in your mind has made acro so prominent, and especially in the last decade?
Mhm.
I remember because I'm old, in the 70s and 80s, there would be acrobatics and dance competitions, and a lot of it was big props and staircases and people walking up the stairs in a back bend, etc. It was a different kind of acrobatics that was out there. Then it seemed like we didn't see it. Now it seems like it's acrobatics everywhere, and that it's more about technique at this point. Okay, I went all over the place, but the question was, why has it become so prominent?
You know what? I think that in the last couple of years, we have to be thankful to some of the certification programs that are out there, because such as acrobatic arts, like I think that a program like that has done wonders for studios. And um it's one thing to see a skill and not have done that skill yourself, and try to teach that skill. That's one thing. But then to actually go and learn the the beginning of that skill and follow through with the progressions to get to that skill. I think acro, when I look at the stage now and I see acro, I think there's a stronger safety quality to the work that we see. And I feel that it's just, for me, it's a little bit more pleasant to watch, because you feel like the kids are being trained, the dancers are being trained a little bit with more knowledge, if that makes sense. And really, when these kids go through these programs and these certifications, I know for my dancers, they become more aware of the skills. They become more aware of the breakdown of the skills. So for me, I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I said, the way I look at acro dance now is you can give your dancers all the tools to be successful, but it's up to them to decide what tool they need to use when they're performing. So, say for instance, if something doesn't go right, they have to learn how not to fall apart, because now this can become dangerous, right? So they have to come up with a way and think on the spot, what tool do I need to pull from my box to help me save this move, or help me, make a rash decision. What are we doing? If it's a group, if it's a lift, something's not going right. And that's the one thing I could say to teachers, like, yeah, that is our job. We're supposed to break skills down, but we also have to let our kids kind of figure it out. And because you're not going on stage with them, right? And they have to figure out how to fix it when it's not going right, or how to support each other, how to move, maybe lean more this way, or pull back a little bit this way. And I just think that that's what I love about the progressions that the kids learn, because they understand, they're getting that breakdown of each individual skill, and then they can apply that to partnering. They can apply it to their to just their presentation in whole, right? So I just think it's changed. It's become more safe. Like I just feel like it's safer to watch, I guess, if that makes sense. You know, I
I
remember.
agree. I agree with that. All of our acro teachers are acrobatic arts certified, and I think it makes a huge difference. Very
You
large
know,
difference.
and so somebody like me who came from a background in gymnastics, you know, to think that you know everything, you don't, you can learn, you can relearn things over as a teacher, which makes it better for your students, right?
Mhm.
So just even being a part of that organization, it just every time I'm with these people, I'm constantly like learning something, and then then you bring it back to your students. But yeah, I do think that lately, like how it's evolved, is I do feel that there's a stronger safety net for these kids, and that's just I think like back in the '90s there was a lot of contortion,
Mhm.
and when you sit back and you used to watch the kids do a lot of contortion, sometimes it made you feel uncomfortable because they didn't necessarily have the strength to complement the flexibility, if that makes sense. Like, so they would bend themselves in half, and you'd be like, oh, that was impressive because they're bending themselves in half, but how they're getting out of it would make you think, oh, you know, they need a little bit more strength for that. But I think that's another thing that these courses have done is that they've really just broken down the importance of strength and the flexibility. And again, that has just enhanced the safety of it.
Absolutely.
Just my opinion that, yes.
That's what we're here for. We're here for your opinion.
Well,
When acro
Yeah.
is taught well, how do you see the overall strength of a dancer in general, not just an acro dancer, but how do you see that overall strength from acro training help your dancers?
oh, I think it's such a necessity. I really do think that because even if you're not, so if you're a dancer that doesn't have necessarily the skills, you should still be doing the training, because I feel like the core development, the muscle awareness, like their body awareness, just understanding how to isolate certain muscles when you're doing certain skills. I think even just a push up. Let's talk about a push up. How can we do a push up? There's so many ways that you could do a push up, but what are the ways that we're going to get most benefit from doing that push up, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's just a balance. Like the core strength that these kids have. I just think that that training alone, I think, is just beneficial to all of the kids, and as long as they are lengthening as they are strengthening, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Like, so when we're strengthening ourselves, we have to make sure that we're also lengthening ourselves, so that we're really developing those nice long lines, and we're not trying to get that, you know, um, muscle that build that weight builder or that bodybuilder look. We really want that longness. So I think that again, that's come with education from these courses, right? To also, really kind of reiterate the safety of it. Yeah.
I'm curious, do you have all of your dancers take an acro class?
Um, No,
Okay.
I would be lying if I said I wanted to lie there for a minute, to be honest. I did. I wanted to say yes, but no, no, we don't. And it could just be, it could come down to financial. It could come down to scheduling. It could come down to, this is one child in a family of five, and they just can't. But I would say probably 90% of the dancers do.
Okay.
Some of the kids, like I said, they come in just for the warm up, for the conditioning of it, and then they leave, or they try, but no, I would be lying if I said that they all did.
Would you say it's the number one thing?
In the
your
studio?
school? Yeah.
I would say that it's a big it's it's a big hit. Yes, I would say that it's highly in demand. Sure. Yeah. But we do have gymnastic clubs around us too, right? So we have to, sometimes I find it funny because the kids will come here because they want to do acro, and then they sometimes go into gymnastics, but then they come back to acro, you know?
Really?
Yeah, and I think it's just because maybe they're just not interested in doing all of the elements, like all of the apparatuses. So they like just focusing on just the floor work and whatnot. So I mean, or vice versa, they've done gymnastics and now they come in to do acro. I mean, it is similar but different. But as long as your brain as a teacher can complement what they've learned in the gym club, then it's an easier transition, right? So just to be mindful of that, that's all.
So, are there red flags that maybe a dancer is being pushed too hard or too soon?
Hmm. There are red flags everywhere, right?
Say
And that
that
could just,
again?
I said, there are red flags everywhere if you look for them, right? Like they're there. I think that could be pushed too soon from their parents. It could be that they're pushed too soon from YouTube, from social media. They could be pushed too soon from, different facilities, right? Uh, but yeah, I think that's in any style of dance, and I think that that could also be in just stretching alone. And I think that we have to be careful with that because sometimes, my a red flag for me is when a child that's 7 or 8 comes in and tells me that their hip is sore, that they have sore, and a sore hip is one thing, but to have chronic pain in a hip, I think is a red flag, right? So those are things that we have to be careful of.
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. There's a difference between tricks added for points and an acro piece that's truly respected. How do you define great acro choreography?
Oh, okay. So are you asking me um
Well, first, let's
tricks?
break it into two. Do
Yeah.
you think people add acro because they think it's going to score points in a routine that probably would have been fine without the acro?
Yeah.
That's the first question. Yeah.
I think we see that a lot. I think that that I don't want to say it because I don't want to be offensive to anyone, but I think that sometimes that could be the fault of the competitions in a sense. And I think it's because when you allow up to 3 acro tricks in other dances, now you have the people that are following through with that because they feel that those 3 acro tricks are going to enhance that dance. I don't know, maybe people don't agree with me, but I feel like, you know, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But I think that if you can incorporate an acro trick, a side aerial, a back handspring, a front walkover, if it's seamless and it's part of the choreography, then it's called for. But if it just kind of stands out and makes you kind of, I don't know, think about, do they
Why
really need
was it
that?
there? I'm less afraid of offending because I think I've been doing it my whole life. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, sometimes I'll look and say, why is that in there? Why did it need to be there? I guess.
Right.
I
You
agree with
know?
that. I think sometimes teachers put it in because the kid has been working on that skill so hard, but is not in an acro dance, maybe. So it's like to build the kid's confidence. But when
Sure.
it's totally out of place, it
Yeah.
is very odd.
Right. And if it looks just as nice as and it blends just as well as the rest of the choreography, then I don't think there's, anything wrong
Agreed.
with it. But I do feel like there's like, if you flipped it around, I do feel like there's pressure because when they're allowed to have three, and then you have two kids competing against each other in the same category, then, I mean, we all know how to deal with our parents. We've been in business long enough, but there is always a question, why does she get a side aerial? My daughter can do that too. But you have to explain to them, yes, your daughter can do that, but she's running halfway across the stage to execute it, and it's not secure enough to make me feel like she's not going to put her hands on the ground, So there is that bit of a difference, right? So
Yes.
I don't
Okay,
Absolutely.
know.
so all right, good. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. How do you define a great piece of acro choreography?
And a great piece of acro choreography for me is something that is very well balanced. And I mean, I'm looking for floor work. I'm looking for um, above, like above floor. I'm looking for ups and downs. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for something that shows great strength, great stamina, great balance, and strong technique. And that's what you have to look at that. And I'm looking for something that is if you're going to pick a slow song, then I want it to be I want the transitions to emulate the music. If you're going to do something fast and upbeat, then again, I want the transitions to emulate the music, if that makes sense. So for me, it's about just making the right choices. Sometimes we can get caught up in an acro dance with trick, 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 trick. And we feel like, oh, because this is acro, we have to have less dance in this routine. Let's punch it out with more tumbling, more of this. So we have to remind ourselves that we are at a dance event. If you watch the Olympics and you just watch the way that the gymnasts, they're so good. I can't believe how everything has evolved so much. Like, it's incredible. It's like what these kids are doing, and then on a balance beam, it's crazy. But when you watch their floor routines, you can tell that they have a point value. You could tell that they have requirements. You could tell that they have to have X amount of skills, and these are the skills that have to be in because this is the level that they're in. These are the level of difficulty that these skills have. But in dance, we don't have that. So you're a little bit more free to choreograph your own ideas and let your creativity kind of dictate, where you're going. So
Would you say that the creativity is what makes the difference in acro choreography between intention and a checklist?
I would say yes, for sure. Yeah. I think choreographing acro is fun, right? And the only thing that I would say, and I've said this before and I will say this again, if you are going to choreograph a routine that has a prop, you have to think of your prop as a dancer. So if you have 10 kids on the stage and you have a prop, you actually, in fact, have 11. So you would never leave that child, a dancer, on stage alone in the back for 4 to 6 counts of 8, doing nothing, just standing there, right? So if
That
you would
was the
never
best
expect,
way I have ever heard anybody say incorporate your prop.
yeah,
Wow.
it's a
Brilliant.
dancer. It's
Yeah.
another person, right? So even though you have a group of 10 kids or 20 kids, whatever it is, you actually make sure that you tell yourself that you actually have 21, because like I said, you would never put a kid at the back for 6 counts of 8, 8 counts of 8, doing nothing, just standing there, taking up space. You need to incorporate that dancer. So you need to incorporate your prop. You have to treat it like as if it's somebody.
You're brilliant
That's
at
the
doing that.
advice.
I've seen
What's
your
that?
work. I said you're brilliant at doing that. I've seen your work, and yes, you could teach a workshop on how to use a prop, even if it goes wrong.
Right, even if it goes wrong. Right. Well, thank you. Thank you. But no, and that's the advice that I would give because honestly, even if it's not an acro routine and somebody comes out and does a jazz routine with a chair and the chair sits on the stage for half the dance doing nothing, I don't understand what the purpose of the chair is, right? So that chair should be choreographed. It should be a part of the dance. That's the only, if I could give advice, that's what I would give.
What advice would you give for a teacher who doesn't feel confident choreographing acro, but maybe needs to do it for their studio?
Um, you don't have to use a prop, so I could go back to that. Like, just if you are going to use a prop, that would be what I would give. But if you're not comfortable, or if you don't feel like you have built the experience up, but you want to try, then just sometimes keeping it simple is not is okay. You don't have to be over the top. In acro, I feel like there's a connection for me, like when you see a lot of things right now, contemporary is a lot of contact
Mhm.
in choreography, and I would say there's nothing wrong with contact in acro choreography as well. And I feel like acro groups have maybe encouraged that amongst the contemporary choreography too, because when you're doing lifts or if you're doing anything in acro, there's a lot of contact, right?
Mhm.
But even just as far as pictures, like stop and give us a picture, and then go from there. Just as long as there's some sort of a connection between the kids, I think that's something that I would say. Start there. Give yourself something. Give yourself a balance section. Not everybody has to do the same balance, but give yourself that. Give yourself, like an opportunity to show a picture, a connection, something that the kids can rely on each other for. And that goes back to the whole toolbox. So if you are going to do a big lift and something goes wrong, they try not to spoon feed them so much so that they can figure out what to do if things don't go right.
So then
If that
once the
makes sense.
choreography is done, let's move to the competition and judging stage. What do you
Okay.
wish the judges understood more about acro, since we all know that not every judge is an acro judge?
Go for it.
Sorry.
um, Honestly, I just think that there are some people who just will they won't give acro the appreciation that it needs or that it deserves because there's some people who feel that it's not a dance discipline.
Mhm.
And that to me is frustrating. Like they don't want acro to win. Like sometimes, they pull the acro out of the overalls because they feel that. Why do they do that? Do they feel that it's because it gets marked differently, or do they feel that it's because it has too many tricks in it? I'm not sure. But what I want them to do is sit back and watch it. Yeah, definitely watch their technique, but watch how you need to appreciate the difficulty if you come across a routine that does have difficulty. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, because sometimes kids that are can master difficulty in their choreography makes it they have this ability that make it look almost too easy. And
Mhm.
so if you don't know the skills, then you almost sit back and say, it was nice, but it was like, you can't appreciate it. So for me, I don't want to see a cheer routine on the stage. So there's a big difference for me there. I have nothing against cheer, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like it's completely different than gymnastics and acro. I don't know enough about it. I just know what I like when I see what I see and what I like about it, what I don't like about it. So I don't want to see a cheer style dance. I want to see a dance that um, that just showcases the best of the kids. But I get so excited when I'm judging and I see difficulty done well. Like I have so much appreciation for that because that's hard to do. It's hard to do, you know?
Mhm.
Um but not everybody can see the difficulty. So I sometimes I feel like that's where it doesn't get the appreciation, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Oh, no question. And it's funny that you say that, because I often see, let's say it is a contemporary or a jazz routine, where somebody executes something, but you said it earlier, they don't come out of it very clean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's they don't have that under control because they can't come out of it. It's like when a kid grabs their leg and goes up into a releve and pulls it. I think it's called a standing split. But then that leg just boom plops down
Right.
to the floor. I think acro is harder to finish it clean than the average jazz or contemporary
For sure.
dancer. So I get that frustration. So on that subject, what do you wish judges would reward more or stop rewarding when it comes to acro in competition?
I think, and I I say this, so it would probably affect me too, but I feel like the flashiness of things, like, just because they can, it's not always about what you do, it's about how you do what you do, right? So that's something to always remember. So just being able to break down the skill and appreciating that. I just feel that acro is an art form. It really is. And I just feel like I just would love to see that be given more appreciation. It's no different than, it's like this. And believe you me, I'm not harping on contemporary because I love contemporary. I think that it's such a beautiful form of dance. But when a contemporary piece comes out and visually it's stunning, but they haven't done any technique, right? So why are we so eager to reward the artistry of that contemporary routine when they haven't done anything? They haven't necessarily even lifted a leg, but they're just moving and melting, and the way they're doing that. If we can appreciate that, then why can't we appreciate the athleticism that it takes to dance a good acro routine,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
for me, I feel like when you're in this industry, you have to be able to appreciate all forms of dance. But I think that, it has to be, we have to put it into perspective and and understand that this is tap, this is jazz, this is acro, this is contemporary, whatever, ballet, classical ballet. So and all of those dance styles all complement each other, and I think that training of the kids that are taking all forms of those of dance like that, it just makes them better, it makes them smarter, it makes them sharper, it makes their ability to just the to be more diverse, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you wish studio owners and teachers understood about acro education that might raise the standard of acro dance?
I would like them to understand the process so that we're not just coming in and teaching back handsprings before these kids can do a clean bridge, before they can, do a back walkover, respect the progressions of the skills, because you're going to make healthier dancers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do get pressure from parents because their kids are doing back handsprings on the trampoline outside in their backyard, you know, but that's fine. And they can do that under their supervision, right? But we have to, it's okay to take a step back and be like, I understand what you're saying, but here she's not on, or, they're not on a sprung floor. They're not on a trampoline. We're training them on this mat to eventually be, executed on a hard floor. So, let her continue to do what she's doing, but when she's here, let me continue to do what I'm doing, and I think that is what we have to be able to really establish our relationships with our parents as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great questions. I'm really appreciative of the answers, especially as a judge. Thank you, Melanie. Good to hear from you. Okay, we're going to have a little fun, or what I think will be fun. Trish, you let me know. This is rapid fire. First thing that comes to mind, there's no wrong answer. Most underrated acro skill.
Most underrated acro skill of Valdez.
Valdez, okay. Most overused acro moment in choreography.
Moment. I could say, if you asked me for a skill, I'd say side aerial. Moment. Preparing for your skills.
One strength exercise every acro kid needs.
Oh, V-snaps.
Most important word in safe acro training.
Trust.
You are good.
Good one.
Oh,
What's one sign that you're watching a well-trained acro dancer?
Consistency.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, Trish, final message to a teacher or a studio owner who wants to include acro, but wants to do it responsibly and with integrity.
Certify. Get yourself linked up. I know it's a lot of money, but it's going to pay down the road. Number one, if you're certified, the parents will have more trust too, right? So you want to have that, and just believe in the progressions of the skills. Try not to jump ahead. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Trish, thanks so much for being with us today. Can you tell everyone where they can follow you or learn more about what you do?
Oh, I'm really terrible on social media, but my studio is called Rythum Plus Dance Company, and you can follow me personally. I don't post much, but I'm going to start posting. Actually, it was the New Year's resolution. I just have to learn how to do it first. But it's TTC.
I'll give you some posting lessons. You teach me a new acro trick, I'll teach you.
I honestly need somebody to help me. I'm struggling. Because my phone keeps updating. So what I did know, I don't know anymore. So then I have to keep figuring it out. But anyways, I am going to try to start doing that.
Get a responsible teenager to help you with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I have to wait for my son to get back from the seas, and he can help me.
Before we go, thank you to our sponsor, Jackrabbit Dance. They make life easier for dance studios around the world, and they are a good friend of our company. And friends, make sure you subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. No matter where you're watching from today, I want you to remember this. You are living the dream you had as a child, you followed through. How cool is it? See you next time on Living the Dream. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
That's it for this week's Living the Dream. Thank you for being here, and thank you for giving dance kids a place to belong. Take the lesson, take the inspiration, and take care of yourself too. Keep living the dream. See you next time. Thank